Everybody's starting to put everything together. The playbook is starting to pile up a little bit. Feel like the guys' attention to detail with the long weekend. We feel like we came in ready to work today, so feel like we're doing pretty good right now.
How different is that playbook?
I wouldn't say it's different. It's a lot of components. It's like a multi-D. You're running some of everything, so you just got to stay on top of your playbook.
You look thinner. How much weight have you lost since last season?
I probably lost like 3 pounds as of right now.
That's it? Only 3? Does it just look different on you?
I hadn't did my body pumping since we first got back, with more than like.
No doubt about that, MP. But you guys were asked to play heavy last year. Did you guys feel that at different points on the defensive side?
I'm not gonna use it as an excuse, but I mean it definitely played a little. I felt like it played a little bit of toll on me close to the end of the season as we kind of got on. But it has its pros and its cons.
Have you felt the change in yourself now that you're not just a younger guy? Now you're looked at as one of the leaders on defense.
I mean, it's, like I said, it's just a lot more mental now. I feel like I play a lot faster. I'm a lot more comfortable. The guys in the locker room are a lot comfortable with me too, and I feel like that just came with me coming into the league, establishing myself, making plays for myself, and regardless of what the media or what position I was drafted, it's just me coming in and making plays. Everybody's starting to believe.
Do you have a feel for how your role changes in this defense yet, or is it still too early? If it changes at all.
I was just going to say I really don't feel like anything's really changing. I just feel like we're getting out the ball, we're rolling, and like I say, we run a lot of things in this defense that I feel like we could take advantage of.
What are your impressions of Liam so far?
I love him. He brings all of the coaches, including Liam, but I think it starts with him, an energy guy. Young, he's always trying to get feedback from the players. So I feel like that's going to carry us a long way as well.
That energy you feel in practice, how does that just help you guys when you're out here in the dog days?
I mean, it helps. I feel like everybody, if you got a high energy guy like that, especially on days like this, it gets hot out here. Somebody's going to need somebody to pick somebody up and bring them along with them, and that's what the coaches encourage. And the coaches are doing that to us, and us as players have to pick up the players beside us as well to do the same thing.
Everyone talks about continuity on the offensive side, but this is like the 9th defensive coordinator or whatever since you've been here, it seems like. Would you like to see a little bit more continuity, and how do you think that will help kind of like the defense kind of progress?
Most definitely I would, but I mean, like I said, I'm not the type of person to make excuses, but I feel like just everybody would be a lot more comfortable that way if we're solid. Like I say, no weak links. You lose one link, then you try to piece things together, but once you get it gelled in and everything's clicking, I feel like it'll flow a lot better.
What do you like about the new defensive system Coach Campanile?
Like, my main thing is the energy. That's something that I feel like we was kind of missing a little bit last year, and I feel like it's going to play a big role with what the coaches are bringing in now.
That's the energy he kind of provides too?
Yes, that's all the coaches.
What's he like when you first met him?
He was mainly, the first thing that stands out is his energy. It's not more so about, I mean, he's a great guy once you get to know him, but the first thing that sticks out is the energy. He's consistent with it every day. And that's all you can ask for a person to be the same person every day, regardless of if he's a high energy guy or if he's just a mellow guy. He's one of those high energy guys every day.
I know it's been a minute, but what was your first reaction when your contract got picked up?
Me, right now, I'm not worried about that. I just leave that up to my agent and up to the people upstairs.
But when they pick up the 50-year option, was that a little bit
I was
of
excited. Obviously, I'm here in Jacksonville. They put me here in Jacksonville for a little bit longer, but I still have to come out here and do what I'm supposed to do every day. Nothing is guaranteed.
Sorry. Does it seem like it's been 3 years already?
It doesn't. It's going by pretty fast, man. Just taking it all in, enjoying it day by day.
You got your camp coming up later this summer. Can you just talk a little bit about that?
Oh, yeah, man. Some of my camp, I want to say it's June 14. I just want to give back to my community in any little way that I can. I know a lot of the kids. I went back to my hometown this weekend. A lot of kids was coming up to me, talking to me about it. So it just makes me excited that they're already talking about it and ready to get to work. And I'm ready to help them develop as well.
You guys have been at a high level already. Where do you see yourself going this year? What are your areas of focus?
As of right now, I really haven't just set out any goals for myself, but I always tell myself just get 1% better every day, and that's coming in. Like today we had practice, I'll go in and watch film and probably just look at some fine details and try to get 1% better at whatever it is I'm trying to come into the next day of practice.
Double-digit sacks. What does that mean to you? Back-to-back years, got a chance to do it 3 years in a row. Is that a magic number in pass rushers' days?
I wouldn't. I mean, everybody wants to get double-digit sacks, but for me, I just want to be a total, complete football player. I want to be able to stop the run because we can't rush the passer without stopping the run. And once we do that, then that allows us to get out of the quarterback. So, but I mean, like I said, I just want to come out here and be the best overall player that I can be every day.
Do you think you'll get more opportunities inside this year than maybe in years past, or you have no feel yet?
Who knows? I mean, it's a NFL. We go game week to week. We'll see.
Anything else?
Thank y'all.
In terms of bodies on the ground and just practicing cleaner, it was much cleaner than day one, let's just say, right? When you're just trying to come in and get it going again after a few days off. I thought it was definitely cleaner. Was it perfect? No, but I thought it was definitely better than the previous Monday, if you will.
It looks like a lot of your key defenders have lost weight compared to last year. Was that a team directive? Was that something that you wanted to see, or was that something they did on their own?
Yeah, just kind of getting some of those guys back to, their natural playing weight, just kind of where they'd maybe been in years past of having success, and kind of getting back to that is really what it came down to.
Did it show up on tape when you watched this defense last year that they were a little bit on the heavy side?
I know that they had put some weight on, in order to play some of the schemes that, structures that they were playing, and that's just, anybody's prerogative, right? That's the way they wanted to do it, and ultimately just kind of evaluating it and talking to some of the players and just trying to get them back down a little bit to maybe where they had been when maybe they had better years or been a little bit more productive, and definitely better for those guys to feel fresh.
Have you got Travis out on the field with the defense yet?
Yep, last Wednesday.
What do you think when you saw him out there?
It was good. He's still learning. He's been learning a ton defensively and offensively, as we know. But that was more so fundamentals, techniques. It wasn't a ton of 11 on 11, 7 on. It was more fundamentals, techniques, communication. That was what that kind of last Wednesday was, and he's been learning with those guys and meet with them extra as he's needed to.
There's a video of him going around right now, just walking up to a local high school kid, kind of introducing himself, making the kid pay. What does that kind of speak to you, kind of person he is?
Yeah, that's pretty cool to hear. I hadn't heard that. That's pretty cool. It's in alignment with who he is. That's who he is kind of out here. I'm sure he probably goes up to some coaches and people on the field that he may not even have had many interactions with, and gives them a fist bump or a high five, and that's kind of just who he is. It's pretty cool to hear that story.
How's De'Ami Brown doing?
He's been great, man. He's made a lot of plays. He's been really productive throughout this whole camp so far, showing versatility to do maybe some things that he hadn't put on tape maybe in the past or wasn't asked to do from his skill set standpoint. I thought obviously he was very productive towards the halfway point of last year into the playoffs, and then you see that confidence continuing to go throughout this camp and this off season. So he's been doing a nice job of being able to run vertically, but also being the nuanced route runner and some of the daggers and in cuts and things like that. I thought he's been very locked in this entire time. I've been really impressed with the pro that he is.
So this is your fourth OTA as a head coach. What's the biggest difference between being a head coach now and being, a coordinator?
Yeah, you got to spend your time in a lot of more places, right? Where you're typically, as a coordinator, you're so locked into what is in front of you and the script, and making sure that you have the right plays in the right order and the right people in the right spots. Now it's a little bit more trying to go and make sure that you get eyes on each position group, connect with the guys out in the grass, make sure that they're upholding the standard and the way we're trying to practice and do things. So it's a little bit more broad, I guess, scope. While still being able to go in and call it. And I thought the coaches have done a great job in terms of the organization of practice so far. Of the 4 practices we've had, the structure of the organization, guys going from drill to drill, I feel like it's been pretty sharp, so kudos to the staff.
I don't think you knew about Travon before you got here. What are your impressions, man, on him?
Pro's pro. He's done things the right way since the day he's walked in here. He's got a great demeanor in terms of just being around the building, being in the meeting setting, but also out here on the grass. He knows how to practice. You don't see him out of control all that often. He has really good body control for a big guy. I'm sure he could probably do a lot more damage out here in some of these settings than he's allowing on, but because he's doing it the right way, though, right? He's focusing on his fundamentals and techniques. He's trying to do the right things all the time, and you can definitely see some of the leadership qualities he has just kind of naturally.
From what you can see with the offensive line, obviously no contact, but do you like the progress that room is making?
I do, yeah. I think that from a communication standpoint, all five being on the same page, you can definitely see an intent behind what they're trying to do. I think Sean and Khalid and Trevor have done a really nice job in that room, and I think the players have caught on. I mean, in a lot of ways. It is extremely difficult to evaluate this time, specifically the fronts. But from a fundamental technique, communication, angles, understanding the scheme, if you will, and what we're trying to get accomplished on each play, our defense has thrown a ton at us from a blitz standpoint and just different looks. That is challenging, especially in day 4 of OTAs. So that'll only help us moving forward, and I think those guys have done a nice job so far.
A lot of competition once you get past Parker on that wide receiver depth chart. What have you seen from some of those younger guys helping to fill in those other gaps in that room? Yeah,
I think that Josh Cephas has done some good things over the course of the off-season program. I think Camper has shown up in a way, as he made a big play today, obviously on the touchdown, a great tracking throw by Nick, and he's done a nice job. The whole group is, I don't want to say they're swimming, but at times they're going to be. There's so much of when these guys come in post-draft, especially later on in an install of a whole new system, right? So our vets and these guys have been in an offense for, let's call it, right, a month and a half, and now these guys get put into it right in the middle of an install. So it's really hard to judge some of that, but I think they've done a nice job of, hey, trying to handle it in the heat with the elements, doing a lot of running. So we'll see about how these guys end up competing in training camp, though.
Back to Travis, Hunter. Is it better a little bit for him to not have him go offense, defense on the same day, to give him a certain number of days on defense and then one day on offense? Yeah. We won't put him in that situation to have him do that, although I'm sure he'd probably want to. I'm sure, but at the end of the day, it's trying to, he still meets defensively every day that he's on offense, so he's getting the mental part of it and being able to catch up on some of the communication, some of the corrections off the film from the defensive side of the ball. So he's getting a lot of the mental, and it would probably be unfair to put him out on the grass and do both and ask him to go do that and see success,
Would there be a point in time when you would do that, though, like during the season?
Yeah, I would say so. In season, he's going to probably have to, just because it's the way that practices are kind of organized. He's definitely going to have to do that, right? Like, I envision maybe a third down day in season where obviously he's playing receiver, but he's also going to have to go get some reps on defense and be able to do some of those things. So it will come up, absolutely. Just from the teaching and the initial stages of it, don't really see that being something we'll do anytime soon.
Mentally, is he handling what you guys have thrown at him the way you expect him to at this point, this early in the process?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, we don't just line up and trips right and double left and eye right all that often. So it's probably just from a system standpoint, it's got a lot. It's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of motion. So he's going to have some mistakes, as has a lot of guys, right? There's going to be some. I don't think we've had a complete ton of plays where he has not known what to do, right? There may be an instance where he aligns right, runs the route, but maybe is a yard or two short, or he missed, things like that, the little details that he'll continue to learn, and I think he's about where we would expect, though.
As an offensive coach, what's hard in this league about going against a zone defense, mostly zone?
Yeah, just if you can get a pass rush with playing, vision zone coverage and mixing it in with obviously some match principles and man coverages, that's hard because you can kind of squeeze the offense that way, where if you can now get a rush and now the ball's got to come out, but you don't have a ton of room. If you can play zone coverage a little bit tighter in terms of not just spacing the whole field out. I think that's the key. You obviously saw Philly have a lot of success this past year, playing a lot of vision zone coverage, shell coverage, still getting a rush with 4. I think if you were to draw up, what's the ideal, I think that's what you would say as a defensive coordinator. Man, I can rush 4 and play 3 deep in quarters, man, that's going to be difficult.
So when you took this job, that was one of the things that stood out was I can get home with 4. That's these 4?
Yeah, you're hoping so. That's what you'd like to be able to do. They've shown to be able to do it in the past, obviously, and we can continue to help them by putting them in those positions, or whether it's with stunts and twists and games and trying to create different angles for us up front. Yeah, there's going to be times where we just got to say, hey, you 4 got to go win. That is going to have to happen, but ultimately it's also on us to be able to put them in the right positions to have that success.
What's the day of personal day for Travis Etienne?
Say it again?
What's the day of personal day for Travis Etienne?
Oh, yeah, I think he just had a flight situation, so it wasn't anything. No issues.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
The culture of the team, of the unit, is heading in the direction we want it to go. So we're excited about that, but a lot of work to do yet,
What are you seeing out of Travon and Josh up front?
Just really excited about those guys. I mean, obviously their ability to rush, but they've done a really good job in a run game to this point too. Their technicians and their D-line coaches have done a great job with them to this point. So I'm really, really pleased with their effort. And they're great guys too, man. They're guys you love to coach, and you can't coach those guys you shouldn't coach.
From man-to-man defense to a zone defense. He said this is the first time he's ever worked a zone defense. So in your perspective, how has he been doing in that transition?
Who are you asking about? Jarin, yeah. I think he's done a great job the whole camp. He's really, really diligent in the meetings, super detailed in all the drill work, and I think it's showing up here in practice, in 7-on-7 and in the team situations. But I've been really fired up about him because he's a really bright guy and he's a competitor. He's definitely got the ability to play man-to-man and play sticky, but he's got good ball skills and he's got a ton in his body in terms of physically. He can stop, start. He's just a really good cover guy, and he's got a really, really big skill set, wide-ranging skill set as a DB.
How bright is the sophomore year for Jari?
I'm sorry?
How bright is the sophomore?
Yeah, I think obviously like anything, time will tell, but I think he's got a ton of ability, and I'm really, really excited about where he can go this year. I think this is a big opportunity for him, and I think he's going to do a really good job for us this year.
Can we get this one on the record? How do you pronounce your last name?
How do I pronounce my last name?
How do you pronounce
Yeah, well, in Italian it's Campanile, but but everybody says Campanile, so I just roll with the punches, whatever. Just don't call me late for dinner, that's about it.
Said that your connection with him, part of why he's here. If you could just speak to where that relationship starts in Miami to where it is.
Yeah, I love that guy, man. He's such a great human being, and if you've had the chance to be around him, he really is. He's a great guy. Super competitive guy, but a technician like on the field, run game, pass game. He's been great for a lot of our younger players too, because he's got not only does he have a great skill set, but he's really got a wealth of knowledge and has had a ton of success in his career to this point, and knows a lot of stuff that we're doing in the system. So yeah, I love Og. I was really, really fired up about getting him here, and I'm happy he's here.
How important was it for you to fill that quote-unquote edge 3 role that many believe has been lacking here for a couple of seasons now?
I think that's an important piece because, that guy, when you go back at the end of the year, that guy has a ton of production for you. The next guy in, and Emmanuel's a guy that we gain a ton when he's out there on the field. Like I said, wealth of knowledge, great competitor. And we have a really good player against the run and a guy that's had a lot of success in his career as a pass rusher. So, that was a really, really important piece for us.
For guys like Travon, Josh, Devin, 3 coordinators in 4 years, how challenging is that for those guys?
Yeah, I would imagine it's challenging. I think the thing that I really try to focus on is, our relationship with our players, my relationship with them. Trying to get them to be the best possible player they can be. And I can imagine, that's hard. A lot of transition, never easy. But my experience with those guys has been nothing but, they've been unbelievable. Just total pros. And they've been really, really hungry every day coming in to learn, obviously in the meeting room and out here on the field.
They had those guys gain some weight to play in last year's scheme. So how hard is it for a defensive guy to kind of play when maybe they're not truly comfortable with the way their body feels?
I wouldn't know that. They'd probably be better better suited to answer that question. But I really like the way they look right now. I think they're really moving well. and they got a ton of strength, which, you know, you need that. You need strength at the point of attack. You got to play physical. You got to be able to whip blocks, you know, be violent on the line of scrimmage. So they look really good. I love what they've done this offseason, and our strength staff's done an unbelievable job with these guys. They've been grinding them, and it's showing out here, you know. It's been good.
Come to you, you know, hey, look, we want to be lighter than what we were last year.
No, it's really more so just we meet, you know, as an organization, you know, with the strength staff, and just kind of look at where we think the best way for those guys to go is in terms of their weight, you know. But also, in my opinion, when you're a pro, you usually know, hey, when am I at optimal speed? You know, where am I my strongest, where I'm not losing strength or losing speed? And I think those guys did a great job with that in the offseason when they were away from here, coming back in great shape.
What's it like having to share a player?
What's it like having to share a player?
Travis Hunter, offense, with the meeting guys. What's it like having to manage that?
You know what? I mean, honestly, I've coached in high school, college, and pro, so I feel like I've done that a lot. So, he's a special guy because he's really, really a bright guy. I know you guys have gotten the opportunity to meet him, but you know, all the coaches, everybody's been really impressed with his ability to retain the information. He's been out here with us, obviously on defense, and I know he's on offense today, but he's done a great job with that, and I can't imagine another guy being any better suited to handle that. Travis is really certainly suited to do that.
Coach said last Wednesday out there with the defensive group.
Yeah, he was out with us last Wednesday.
What do you think when you saw him out there?
I think he's pretty good. Yeah, no, fired up to have him out there, and he did a very good job, you know, getting out there, and he's done a great job with Coach Milas and Coach Lascari, a couple of the other coaches on staff, just spending time, and he's doing extra every day, so I have a ton of respect for everything that he's done to this point.
How is it going to work? Are you going to have to negotiate for him during games, like, hey, we need him on the defensive side?
That's up to the head guy. It is. But no, we have a plan for Travis, and excited to put that in place, and it's been going very well to this point, so we're excited to keep it moving throughout the course of the preseason and regular season.
Sorry, Coach. What can bring in veterans like, you know, Jordan Lewis and Eric Murray kind of do for the secondary?
I think those guys are great communicators. You know, you really gain a ton when guys are good communicators on the back end, because to us, like when you're talking about the pillars of defense, that's number one. Being able to, like, communication leads to anticipation, right? And big plays are made with anticipation. If I know it's one or two things, I'm going to be super aggressive, and I'm going to have the opportunity to seize the moment and make a play. That often happens with guys that are good communicators and guys that are focused. You know, a veteran guy usually brings that to the table, but they're elite in that regard. And not just that, they're both really good players. So I have a ton of confidence in those guys, and I think the guys around them have really enjoyed having them around, because they're a great sounding board for them. You know, they've been a big help to some of the younger guys, and like I said, great communicators. That kind of brings a calm to everybody out on the field.
Could we talk about the opposite of Tyson? We've seen Jordan Lewis, we've seen Brian Jones, and even Buster Brown. Just what is your opinion?
Yeah, all those guys have done a great job. I think Buster has done a great job too. He's really been physical on the line of scrimmage. I know I've talked about Jarian and Jordan already, but Buster's done a really good job. He's a super diligent guy too, really, really detailed in what he does, and I've had a lot of fun coaching him and being around him to this point. But they've all done a great job, and kind of all just mixing them in as we go here with OTAs.
Is that versatility something that you look for with guys like Jarian and Jordan being able to?
Yeah, you love that. You know what I mean? You love to have guys that can play multiple positions. I think Jarian is a guy that can play a bunch of different positions, and Jordan obviously has been able to do that in his career. And hopefully, and I know he will continue to do that with us, but that makes it exciting because those guys can do a lot of jobs. You know, they're physical guys at the point of attack, which is huge, you know, so you can do more with them in the run game in terms of pressure also in the pass game, so that's been exciting.
Good. All right, thanks.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you.